between me and the coffee, so please bear with me with my presentation. So, the Pan Pacific University has embarked in a very nice project, which is the implementation of SDG. The President, Donna, yesterday presented that it's interwoven in our activities. It's the implementation of SDGs also embedded in our curriculum. But how creatively do we do this one? Let me tell you a story about what we do. Every second Saturday of the month, we do the tree planting. And so we have identified 5 different varieties in the Philippines that are a bit rare, except for coconut. We identified coconut because it's a tropical fruit and it's present in almost all the tropical countries. But aside from that, there are rare 4 other rare fruit-bearing trees that are actually dying right now, or not in the market, not sold in the market, basically because they have strong smell, but they're very nutritious. I'm talking about mabolo or chiesa, because we don't have. I'm sorry, I do not know the English name of these trees, but it's in the Philippines. But our young people don't appreciate these. So this is the story of the Padjak. Back in November 28 of 2021, it's still pandemic in the Philippines, and we haven't gotten any vaccine during that time. Personally, I got my vaccine in September of 2021, so I just had 1 dose during this time. So our students are coming back, but they just come to the school because they wanted just to give little transactions like payment of fees and getting of grades and all. But so I decided, with the administration, we decided to come up with a cleanup drive in our city in Urdaneta, in Pangasinan. Now, in the second or 2 weeks after that, we went to the next town. We planted trees already. So we decided it's how beautiful it is that early in the morning, young men and women are actually riding the bicycle, and in their backpack is a seedling of a coconut. It's the sprout is peeping outside of the bag, and it's the thing that they're carrying, of course, aside from water. So we decided to plant 1 each for each person who participated. I remember we were around less than 20 during that time. So this is one of the major historical sites where tourists in the area go. Well, it's a church, so we had our picture there. This is the team that we just initially started the program with. And then we also went to another town, Malasiki. So you can see we started still with the number is not sustainable. It's just less than 10 again. And then January of 23 of the next year, we went to the coastal town. We just decided, let's just go to the coastal town because we wanted to take a bath. But then during that time, you cannot, by the way, bicycle is one of the few ways on how to reach the area, because if you have a private car, you can, but there are no public utility vehicles during that time still in the Philippines. So bicycle, motorcycle if you have, or cars if you also have. So we went to this area. Of course, we enjoyed the beach after planting and cleaning the area also. So we were not thinking of what to do about the SDGs, but we just said, let's just go and plant and clean the area. And so this is the beach area. In February, that's next month after, we went to another place, San Quintin. It's like 45 kilometers from our place, and it's going up the mountain. This is the hardest bike I've ever been into because I'm not a biker, but I forced myself for health reasons. I wanted to try it. Going to the beach, coastal area, it's 40 kilometers from my city, and it's downhill, so it's okay. But then this one, San Quintin, is going up the hill. It's one of the foot of the biggest mountain in the Philippines, the Caraballo. So we planted coconut. 13th of March 2022, we went to Balungao, near the volcano. We went to Natividad, another town near the mountain. So a family of our scholar wanted to treat us for lunch, so we went there to have lunch because it was already very far from our place. It's like 350 plus kilometers of bike. And then we went back to our school. We planted coconut in our school because we said, like, we've been planting coconut outside of our campus. Why not plant coconut? Because we had 3 coconuts. One died during pandemic. I do not know why. Why during pandemic? But maybe it's the summer heat. But then only 2, so we added more in front of our gate because we wanted to promote also that it's a healthy fruit, right? August 2013 of the same year, we went to another barangay or village in San Fabian. We planted trees, and then of course we enjoyed the beach afterwards. We copied a very nice symbol of Christmas, which is Christmas tree. We saw this in Guam. It's a Christmas tree made of coconuts. So if you can see, I hope you can identify the coconuts. The students planted, painted with whatever they want, sustainability or their own dreams, or on one side, and then we place it in the shape of a tree, and then we lighted it back in December for our Christmas tree. We call it Tree of Life because coconut is actually a tree of life. That's the other way to call it. Now, fast forward, we have a policeman helping us and joining us for our tree planting. And then we went to another mountain near the next province, which is Nueva Ecija. And, but still, this is part of Pangasinan, and we planted trees together with the policeman. And our pajak, we call it pajak, or it's the motion that you do when you do the bicycle. We added not only tree planting, because once we reach the area, we coordinate with the village chieftain or chief, and then we also started educating the young people, or the young, for example, with the Republic Act 91003. It's the Republic Act on Eco Management or Environmental Management. We just simply tell them you cannot burn dried leaves. You have to dispose your trash properly, because just like other tropical countries, we still burn leaves when we gather them in the morning. And this is something that we wanted to reverse. And then, of course, your trash should be collected properly or disposed properly, or you create a proper disposal in your house or in your backyard. But we also added human rights campaign, because during that time, or 2 years ago, the Human Rights Commission in the Philippines appointed our university to become a center of human rights. So when we saw that children are also joining us, we told them, like, they cannot just simply join us, pick up the trash, but we gathered the young children, the very young children, just like this one, and then we told them their rights to education, we told them their rights, the basic human rights for children. So, and then we gave them food, and then we went back again to those villages, and we did it and expanded it. We also taught them in the village, so there are other colleges or schools that join the program. So it's not only my group who is going to visit the village and plant trees, but then other colleges, like, for example, nursing, they went there, they tried to nurse first aid care in the area, or they gave lectures on how to make soap, because soap is very, very common needs in the Philippines. Of course, if you need to wash our hands, we need to take a bath, we use soap. And then for example, the papaya or what's this? Bitter gourd or ampalaya is actually present in the area, so they can just make it as a soap. So the ingredients are actually there. So we were joined by different colleges. RA, or the environmental management, waste management, is lectured by the criminology students. So we just tell them that you have to lecture easy to swallow agenda, so that the students or the out of school youth joining the tree planting can really imbibe the program. So we talk here in our gathering right now here in LA about the culture of peace. So we were trying to read sets of values. Culture of peace is sets of values, attitudes, modes of behavior, and ways of life that rejects violence. Of course, we were thinking that if we go and visit different villages and educate them with lots of, for example, how to make soaps, or about their human rights, or about the environmental management, we were thinking that, yeah, maybe it's actually a way of reaching out to, so that those who are not able to access the university, especially mothers or young mothers who were not able to go to college, can still learn from those who are actually learning in the university. So in UNESCO, the promotes culture of peace through an intersectional platform. So we have the education, that's number one. Of course, communication and information is part of it. So in UNESCO's work for education and peace and for peace and non-violence, building peace through education, we thought that in the university, the culture of peace is developed through our governance, of course, through the university consortium with the community. If the community likes you, then you're okay. And if the community is a bit far from you because of distance, then you still need to reach out. Just imagine 40 kilometers away. That's already several towns after our town, but of course, or our city. But we wanted to reach out to them because it's still needed. They're still deprived of the basic needs. Of course, we can just enforce in our university that whoever enters, like the faculty, staff, and students, should still have a culture of peace, or imbibe a culture of peace. But then we also try to, of course, put it in our curriculum, our PCST values, the Pioneer, Compassion, Service, and Truth, which are our core values, and of course embedded everything in our curriculum in order to develop this culture of peace and sustain it. So until right now, we have our activity proposals, we have everything in place in order to develop the culture of peace, and also put into action, into daily lives, the culture for SDGs, for the love of SDGs. And so we have solar panels. Let me just tell you and move forward. In the university, back in February of 2020, we tried to develop this action plan. We call it Agenda 2020. It is a 20-point agenda. And may I just share, because it's 20, may I just share, for example, so if you come to our university, don't expect that we will serve you bottled water, or we will serve cups. Sorry, from a styrofoam, because we actually will give you a tumbler, or if you don't have a tumbler, but then we will encourage you to bring tumblers with you, because we fill it up with water. And so once a guest or anyone enters the gate, we try to tell them. If it's first timer, oops, we tell them. But if it's second time, third time, or really like a parent of a student, they already know that they cannot bring in bottled water. Of course, there is 7-Eleven outside, but we tell them you have to consume it outside so that you don't take in the bottles. So no PET bottles or one-time use. You have to bring in tumblers. No take-in, no take-outs. We feel sorry of McDonald's or maybe of Starbucks, because it's nice to hold Starbucks cups when you are walking down the streets going to your office. But we try to reverse that because it's not needed. Really, when you have your tumbler, they give you a discount in Starbucks, right? Yes. If you fill it up with your tumbler, even though it's not a tumbler from Starbucks, if you use the tumbler and you put your coffee in there, then they give you a discount. So McDonald's cannot deliver their products. We encourage them, our students, to leave the trash outside or in the place where they bought it and then put it in their lunch boxes. So if our students, we have the carinderias or the small scale canteens outside of our university. So we have educated also our partners. We call them partners because they are outside of our university. They don't pack anymore the lunch, the lunches of or the snacks of our students using plastics, but they ask for the lunch boxes of our students. If you have the uniform, they will ask you bring out your lunch boxes so that they will put your rice, your viand in there. So this is part of our agenda also. So and then we have the CLAGO policy. So every day that you have to do your job inside the university, if you're an employee, or even if you are a student, if you are working in a classroom, you have to do the CLAGO policy. And it's like a bit crazy because in the Philippines, if you go to McDonald's, the culture in McDonald's in the Philippines is that you have to leave the trash on your table where you ate and then just leave. But then our university is a bit crazy because we're telling our students, do not leave your trash on the table where you ate, especially also in Starbucks, because it's not common in the Philippines. They just leave it there. But then we're teaching them now, you have to dish out and put it in the trash bin. It's not because they have cleaners, but you have to do your job. That's CLAGO. It's a policy that we are trying to tell our students. And so even us administrators, if we go to fast food chains in the Philippines, we also try to practice the same thing. So people are looking at us like, what are you doing? Like, you're executive, we're wearing our office attires and sometimes like this, and then we try to dish out where we ate. So it's okay for us, and it's nice that we're doing our job also. Let me go back to our values. So there is a video, but I will not show you any more about the video. Everything is anchored in our values of compassion. Compassion is not only applicable to human person, but compassion towards the environment. That's our very first thing. So the phrase in our values, in our mission says, compassion towards the environment and our fellow man. We first highlighted the environment because if we destroy our home, then we are not compassionate to our fellow men. Because our fellow men, who are actually our children later on, should still enjoy what we are enjoying right now. So profiting without sacrificing the future. We are one of the pioneers for adapting the SDGs and putting green practices in our university. And of course, I can go on with the talk of service and truth, but if you talk about peace, we thought that with over more than 1,000 trees that we've planted since 2021, with over 50 MOUs with villages. So we have villages and we come back to those villages and try to count how many trees survived. Right now we have like 20% that are dead from the trees. 1,000 plus planted trees, but around 200 are already dead because of the scorching heat. And we try to go back and plant more trees when we go back. So I think we're doing something which is okay for our environment. So we have less than 1,000 village officials. So we have the tanods, or the what do you call this one? The village officials joining in the tree planting, in the cleanup drive also. And we're telling these village officials that they should implement our law in the Philippines, that you cannot burn the trash. You cannot burn the dried leaves, but you have to do something in it. Over 200 policemen joining our cause. first they said like they just wanted to join have photo, but then we told them like you have to continue doing it because it's useless just to take photo and then plant the tree and then that's it. But we told them like we continue doing it. And so right now, policemen or companies, private companies, are also joining us. So over 100 employees from different companies are joining us, deploying like 5 or 10 or 15 from our company, coming to join our cause, helping us clean the place of the plastics. My favorite is the cigarette butt, because other NGOs are actually collecting what they can see, but then the cigarette butts are actually very small and it goes down the stream and it's easily transported to the oceans, and our fish can eat them because it looks like another fish. So that's my favorite thing. When I tell my group, because we divide our nearly 500 students or nearly 1,000 students deployed in one village, we tell them, look for the cigarette butts. Or sometimes if the styro cups are actually shattered, so they come in small pieces also. So we tell them to collect and pick up those small things. We have around 200 parents and children joining us. So they bring their children because we give children, of course, small treats during our visits. And over 100 or 4,000 students participating in our cause also, because we added in the curriculum. In their extra curriculum, we have given points if they join in. But take note, they are only required to join at least 1 tree planting in a semester. But a lot of our students, we found out that they wanted to do it again on the next month. So when we'll go back on the 11th, our next second Saturday is April 13th. So please wish us good luck on April 13th, because we will again journey early in the morning and plant more trees, clean more villages, and educate more young people. Or even parents are also watching us doing the job. So again, SDG, I think creating a culture of peace is mounted in quality education, and let me highlight the partnership. The partnership, I think, with the villages and the officials are actually our main core in our call for peace in the university. And I think all the rest will follow. We go to the beach for cleanup drive on our coasts. We life on land, we promote clean environment also. And then of course, climate action, clean water, for example, we clean the stream or the rivers also so that the fish can thrive. And so health and well-being, because we encourage our students to go and use the bicycle. At first, there were many challenges when we were doing this. A lot of our students would say, I don't have bicycle. And so we told them, oh, we have truck in the university, you get in the truck and then go all together. And some would say, oh, I cannot do this, I cannot do that. But I think over time, since 2021, 2022, 23, 24, I hope that we will continue doing these things so that we can really promote not only a culture of sensitivity towards the SDGs, but of course, culture of peace in our villages, and lastly, the theme of this year in the university is Be a Good Soil. Let me just reiterate what I heard from an adage. A good soil, or a good garden soil, if you are, is not a combination of good minerals in that. Sometimes a good soil is actually a combination of trash. Why? You remove the outer layer of the onions, and then you put it in the soil, right? You unpeel the carrots, you peel the carrots, and then you put it there. It's trash. Leftovers, you put it in the soil, And then you cover it, you water it, and then after 45 days, it can become good soil. So a good soil is not always coming from good. In fact, it's coming from bad because this is trash. It's a leftover. But then, with proper care, it becomes a good soil. And in our university, we wanted to become a good soil also. I think with proper care and with proper atmosphere, our students can grow so that they'll become lovers of peace. Or they can also grow to become professionals where their parents and they would dream about. So this is my last slide, and I hope we can all share a culture of peace by becoming a good soil where other opportunities can also grow. Thank you so much.
Okay, any good people who'd like to ask some questions? Nabi, please.
Thank you so much. It was very amazing and very insightful. We learned a lot of things. And because I wanted to mention something as a proposal, as a suggestion.
Speak louder, please.
As a suggestion that, because Darrell is here and Gilbert also is here, it is good that in a YPA also be at the university there. So when our team and people in the future go, they will see what is that, and that is something really we can learn from it. It reminds me also of Darrell's peace tree planting in the Peace Park in Thailand. So we had trees there, and we used to go and do that.
But you still have trees.
Yeah, we have that. So if we go there, you know, not only we can do the same thing with you, but we can also see the culture that you already created there and the environment, and it will be encouragement for the students there.
Thank you. Yeah, actually I was telling Darrell that maybe 10 years ago, in this slide yesterday, this occasion is in Manila, 2014, and maybe it's time to invite them again back to the Philippines, and everyone, of course, to, I hope we can create the occasion, either YPA or LBD, to the Philippines, if not this year, maybe in the next coming years.
Yes, so in fact, we have these two, youth peace ambassadors and Looking Beyond Disaster, and in fact Marlon and at St. Paul's University, Quezon City, just a blink of an eye ago, 10 years ago, like yesterday, we had the Looking Beyond Disaster 4 there. So but we've had various Looking Beyond Disaster meetings, and would be honored to come to Pan Pacific this year. And in fact, we have some people who are waiting to graduate from Southeast Asia who were going to come here and can't, and then they program having it in Asia is easier. The trees that you planted at the Peace Park in Thailand, the most amazing tree, my favorite, is teak. I don't know if any of you have ever planted teak tree. If you know the wooden chopsticks that you get with disposable chopsticks in the Japanese restaurant, I thought it was a joke. My dear friends they gave us what looked like a chopstick, wooden chopstick with a little leaf on the end, and I said, "What is this?" They said it's a teak tree. Wait. So within 1 year, most of these trees were 6 meters high with leaves this size. It's the most remarkable growth rate. But the teak tree grows very quickly to get high above the other trees. It's an amazing tree. And some of them now are 25 meters. It's a big tree. It's actually a peace jungle now. Peace jungle, because the weeds in Thailand also grow at 2 meters a year. But if you're happy to use a chainsaw or machete, you come. but we can plant, as you say, the challenge here in tree planting is keeping up the maintenance of trees because of the unpredictability of rainy season, unpredictability of animal forages, and people. In the Peace Park in Thailand, the people are so poor, all the water fittings were basically stolen if we weren't going there very often. They would take the taps out of the system. So it's sort of left to its own devices. But we now have actually in Thailand a bamboo village mind-body retreat center, which is in Khao Yai National Park, in the other side of Kakachai. So those places are there. But yes, let's go to the Philippines. I think the implementation of SDGs are really important in universities, and it's a great, we're looking forward to going to campus. Other comments or questions, please? Please, yeah. Please come and stand, come up here. No, I can't hear you down the side. Danny? Please, if you want your certificate, you come up to the front. Okay, go ahead.
Thanks. Thank you very much, sir. I'm really impressed with Pan Pacific University, considering, I have to say this, I'm really sorry, but I'm not so familiar with Pan Pacific. Ngayon ko nga lang I'm sorry, I'm speaking in Tagalog already. So this is the reason why I don't want to speak in front and get nervous. So I'm very impressed. First, I'm very impressed with Pan Pacific University having to go through the process of really being involved in the 17 SDGs. There are very few universities that probably do this. In our case, Philippine Christian University is not even looking into how we can possibly be involved in 17 SDGs, and you're doing it. So I'm very particular in probably making Pan Pacific University as a benchmark. If it would be nice if you could probably create a multimedia presentation on your achievements on the 17 SDGs, that would be nice. Probably even Ateneo or LaSalle would look into it, because as I have said a while ago, these universities are not even looking into the 7 SDGs. When we do some, but not entirely the 17. So Pan Pacific University is doing it. I'm very particular with quality education, sir. Are you into probably planning to have different accreditations, like say for example, you're considering perhaps PACOCOA or PAASCU. These are local accreditation agencies in the Philippines, and maybe probably you have plans also going international like AUN, ASEAN University Networks, or even ABET. Because I've seen in your SDG pertaining quality education, there are several items that were indicated there, but I don't see any accreditation. Probably you can look into this. These are just recommendations. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Sir, perhaps PCU should come and visit us or through your leadership, or you can invite the others, and everyone is welcome to visit Pan Pacific University. Just to brag a little, sir, yes. We have PACOCOA accreditation. We have level 3 for business, criminology, and education. And our task right now with the new administration of Dr. Dona is to accredit other programs. Oh. We don't have yet AUN, but we started already. It's ASEAN University Network, and they have quality assurance also. And ABET, we don't have it yet. But just recently, in 2021, during pandemic, we are awarded 3 QS stars. One of the 27 universities in the Philippines, only 27 universities with 3 QS stars during that time. And we have renewed our membership with QS. We got again our second 3 QS stars. We have WURI, World University with real impact. We're top 49 in the world.
Yes, sir. This is one thing that I have observed in your website, sir. May WURI nga, and I'm so impressed with WURI. My apologies, I didn't see the PACUCOA accreditation level 3. You should have been very, very, very proud of these accreditations. Very few colleges or even programs would be able to reach that level. I was actually visiting your website. Sabi ko, I cannot see accreditation and the likes. It should have been there. To really prove or to really show that the quality education is there, sir. So I'm glad that you have these accreditation levels. It's difficult to pass these accreditation agencies, especially PACUCOA, compared to the rest of the other agencies. I'm a senior accreditor. Ma'am Fontanilla, Dr. Fontanilla is a senior accreditor for PACUCOA as well. Tama ba, ma'am? And probably some professors here are accreditors of PASCO. And I'm just sad that it did not appear in your website. You should be proud of those accreditation. I'm sure you're very proud of it. So pakidagdag na lang, sir. Please include this in your website because your school is really impressive. Very impressive. Knowing that you have WURI and you have the probably within the year first year of your AUN. Tama ba, sir?
Maybe next year. But we're waiting for THE impact. Which will come probably June or July. So we submitted it last year and we're waiting for them to announce this year.
Nice, sir. Congratulations, sir. Congrats.
Thank you. We also have our QS, what's that, WURI and... What do you say, development?
Please come here. President Donald, please come here.
UI Green Metrics. We're part of the UI Green Metrics. It's a challenge for the new administration, but Dr. Rondas and during her administration, we started the programs and we have the UI Green Metrics. Green Metrics is about sustainability. How green is your university? How many trees are planted in your university and compared to the local area? So we have, I included here, for example, the solar panels in our universities because we're generating our own solar or our electricity requirements. So we don't need actually the grid. So we're selling also whatever excess. We're giving it back to our electric company right now. So in our talking about sustainability, sir, since we discourage our students to bring in take-outs, we have significantly reduced our trash. And so we have, for example, graduation. We count how many sacks of course, you cannot really say you're 100% waste-free, but during graduation, we count how many sacks of trash, and we try to segregate like how many bottled waters were there, how many skyflakes, bread, plastics are there.
That's nice, sir. I was actually smiling a while ago, listening to how you really manage waste, like don't allow McDonald's, the plastics, etc. We do that in St. Paul University, we do that in Miriam. Miriam College is actually awarded as the darkest, ano ba yung term, Ma'am Dr. Fontanilla, what was the award given to Miriam in terms of the number of trees? Kasi we taught in Miriam College as well. I think they hold the best college or university having such awards. So congratulations, sir, knowing that you have all of this. Let's just blame the web developer, that for not putting these achievements and these improvements. It would be nice if you could also look at this in your website. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that, sir. So I would just like to add something. Yes, because all of these awards that we have gathered during my time. So by the way, for the information of everyone, Dr. Donna was just recently installed as our university president. So just this February. So that is why I am still talking on her behalf, because these were all my projects before I went out of the university. So by the way, you can also check our Facebook, because everything is there. And the people responsible for all these things are the Stratcom, the Strategic Communications Department. So they're, and if you do not see all those awards coming from our local award giving bodies, it is because we're very we're very focused on our vision, which is to be a total university in the Pan-Pacific Rim. So those who know Pan-Pacific University, they know us as a very strong university for internationalization. So that's the answer to all the queries. So, but thank you very much. We will include that. Donna has been taking note of it, and it will be a great help also. So thank you very much for intently listening to my partner.
Thank you very much. Confusion also come here. You know what happens. Go ahead.
Congrats for the presentation. And two questions. First, is it possible to spread this project through Philippines and the world? Well, first question. Second question, what would the plastic industry do with you?
The industry.
Yeah, you know, is it possible to have a project like this or a attitude like this in every place? So sorry for speaking like this, because you know, the sustainability means you need to think about your place and other places, yeah. Because your university is very good. Mine would be same. Okay, several initiatives for interrupted this plastic, everything. But the trash will be in some places, some else, you know? So how can we solve this question? Should we talk to people from a plastic industry, policymaker, and so on? I know that it's important so much to educate students how to face this question, but is it enough? That's the question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, just to mention, sir, it's Iloilo Science and Technology University. As far as Iloilo, this is actually in the Visayas region of the Philippines. Came in and visited us to benchmark, and other universities are coming in also because of our network. So they wanted to check what we're doing, especially how did we climb up the QS stars or the UI green metrics for the awards. But our best practices, for example, we share it to them. Once they enter the university, we tell them, oh, you cannot request for a bottled water because we serve clean water. It's distilled water, and then we put it in a pitcher, and then we serve it to them, and we use a glass. So we tell them already once they enter the university that we cannot serve them, except for David Pomeranz when he came in to have a concert. I don't know if you know David Pomeranz. He's an international UK artist, and he wants a Fiji water, and so that's an excuse. But the rest, even the CHED regional director are also already informed about our policies. So I think it might be a little bit slow for other universities to adapt, because maybe they like the knowledge that my water is distilled and it's coming from Coca-Cola, but without trusting the local brands, for example, and then the handling of water. But I think spreading the news through benchmarking when they come and visit us is one way to educate our university counterparts also. The reason why we go out of the villages inside our province is to educate also these villagers about our practices of recycling, of a clean environment, or no smoke from burning in the atmosphere. That's the reason why we go out. But I think going in from a larger perspective, maybe media would also help us disseminate the information, or maybe our website should be more comprehensive. We're very active on Facebook actually, so most of our initiatives are on Facebook. Right now we just opened our TikTok. I don't know if US still is okay with TikTok, but in the Philippines it's very popular. So we try to broadcast our initiatives also, so that the others will also learn and appreciate what we're doing. But the local villagers, policymakers are also, we will be hosting leadership summits for the local villagers so that they can craft law for the village about leaning towards sustainability. And lastly, I am very excited how we can partner with Toyo Philippines in coming up with several programs. Probably we need to learn, because we really believe in Kaizen, and that's what Dr. Rhonda was saying beforehand in 2012 when she was writing her dissertation, and continuous improvement also, and your programs, and how we can apply and learn from you also, and how we can partner. So I hope several partnerships can be forged with private companies later on. So thank you for the sharing, and thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you everyone. Thank you, Edward.